Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money,
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling, patent pockets. We make the dollar, dollar, can a damn soul stop it. Here comes the new kid on the block. Hold on, your bets. Here's where the buck stops.
All right. Now that it's not the money song you would be thinking of, and to be honest, it's not really a song. It's just a theme song from some rich old white man in professional wrestling. But it's paying season. Somebody got paid this week, and it actually, I technically was me. I will get paid.
It was
Friday.
the best player on an irrelevant team. That's who got paid this week.
It was also the third best wide receiver in all of football. Could be due for greatness. What's up, everyone who will eventually listen? I got to stop talking like I'm on a live stream because we're not doing that right now. Wish we were. Welcome back to another edition of Realming Sports. I appreciate all of those who listened in to the past couple shows. NFL Preview, other show before that where we debuted Explaining to Bill, College Football Preview with our own guest, Frank Newtile, and a couple other high school friends, our round table of college football, but now we are back to the normal form. And by normal, I mean really normal, because returning guest, the guy who sat usually to my left, not my far left like South Philly Bill, Oscar is back. He finally is he got out from the studio. He lives there now, but he's been missing me this whole summer. And Oscar's back.
I'm loving it. Every bit part.
Great having you back, brother. I love it.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.
Good, man. Smiling face always makes my day.
Feels like old times, gents. It feels like old times. And speaking of old times, because, once a blue moon, the Giants were good. Now, Odell Beckham getting his money like he deserves it. Even though at times I was worried about why they should pay him that much. But was he overpaid? Maybe. Do I kind of care? No, because in order for the Giants to have any relevancy in the next 5 years while they have him there, I think, especially if they go with a new quarterback, if they go a new quarterback in the next year, probably they will. You need that number one guy, that security blanket that's not a tight end. You need that guy that you can throw it to at any time. He gets triple coverage. Odell Beckham's the guy. And you know what? I'm happy about it. He's ready. I don't know about a breakout year for him this year, but I think he's destined for greatness, and this is the start. This is the start, pending obviously injuries and stuff like that, because he's had injury problems, especially with his leg in the past. But I'm feeling great, probably better than I have been for most of this preseason, except for when the Giants beat the Jets in the Snoopy Bowl. Giants are back up on top in New York, just for one more year. Oscar, what's your opinion? It's good to have a Giants fan, by the way, on this podcast, Bill.
Honestly, man, I think it was well deserved. His money was well deserved. Obviously, after Sammy Watkins got that huge deal, he has the numbers better than him. He felt like, well, he has all that money and guaranteed as well. I need to get paid more than that. And I know New York had the money to pay him, and he is their number one guy, as you said. So I think it's well deserved. I think Giants are going to have a good year this year. I honestly think so, man. I think so. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch.
My one thing is, why invest all this money in a receiver when you didn't invest in the position or the player that he's going to catch the most footballs from throughout the course of this contract? That's my one question. Why are the Giants taking this direction where they're just paying skilled players when they're not addressing the key needs of the team, which is always going to be offensive line, defensive line, and they need a quarterback for the next 10 years. And I keep on saying this. I just don't understand what the Giants are doing as a franchise. Odell deserved the money and everything. I'm not saying he's not a great player. He scares the crap out of me being in the NFC East. I'm just really confused about the way the Giants are running their franchise.
So I think like the game is going to be changing now. It's going to be a huge offensive mentality game. More stats, more numbers produced, and I think the offense is what sells the tickets, is what gets the fans.
That doesn't matter when there's no one who can throw the ball to him on a consistent basis. And we saw that. We saw that last year with Eli can't do it, and they didn't do anything to improve that position over the offseason. I just don't. My more gripe with the Giants is not paying him. It's just I just don't think they're running their franchise right, which is great from my fan point of view. But from a guy who would like to see the Giants like competitive because I don't like them and I like when we beat them when they're at their strength. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like they're circling around rebuilding and addressing key needs and trying to remain competitive, and that's proven that doesn't work in any sport.
I agree, but I think the one reason why I think they're giving Eli another year is because of all the injury stuff. I think they knew going into this offseason that they had to deal with the offensive line to some extent, and they did that obviously with the blindside thing with Nate Solder. I think that was a good move, but we don't know how that's going to pan out for a 4-year contract. They just traded away Brett Jones, their starting center, so they liked that guy who was selling used cars 2 years ago to probably take the starting job. Flowers is at right tackle, and we'll get to a little bit of preseason ball in a minute, particularly Giants-Jets, because Eric Flowers still looks equally as horrible on the right side as he does the left. But I think they trust their weapons around them, which is when they're healthy, which is Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and they really think Saquon Barkley is going to be something special. Especially if they have Wayne Gallman, who's actually done okay this preseason at times as the backup running back. It gives Eli plenty of weapons to throw the ball to or hand off to, and I think that's very important. That's very important if they think that they can get one more year out of Eli with what they believe is to be some of the better skill positions in football. But
I like Latimer too, man. He's a nice big target. Not the go-to, not number 2, probably number 3. Just to go at him in the red zone and stuff. He's gonna be huge.
He was supposed to be really big when he went to Denver, getting drafted out of Indiana. Like he was real. Like I remember watching him play. He was terrific. Like I liked him a lot in college. I think Denver was the right spot for him, especially at the time when you thought Peyton Manning was going to be there for a little bit longer than he was. Now, obviously, that was like 2 years ago. That wasn't going to be the case, especially with not having a quarterback to throw the ball to. That's why you don't hear anything from Demaryius Thomas anymore in terms of a top receiver, which is a shame, to be honest. I think he's still a very good talent, but that's the one thing about receivers that I always view as the best receivers don't always need the best quarterback to be that special. You know what I mean? Like
no, they really do.
Well, they do, but like at times they do, but like there's times
the only receiver that's ever been great, legendary without a consistent all-time quarterback is Randy Moss. Terrell Owens had Steve Young to Donovan all the way throughout his prime of his career. Jerry Rice had Joe Montana and then Steve Young. It's pretty much.
I hate to say it, but you got to add Tony Romo in there too. He's no schlub.
Okay, then there you go. That proves my point even more. That they're the best receivers have the top tier quarterback throwing to them, and I understand like the Giants need something to look forward to. I'm just saying this doesn't mean anything for the season. What this means is that Odell is pretty consistently not healthy, and they're going to be paying him a lot of money, and he's going to be catching balls from probably Geno Smith in a year.
Geno Smith is not on the team anymore. Don't speak his name on this podcast.
Exactly, that's the point. They don't even have this future guy that they can say, this guy is going to be throwing passes to Odell throughout the course of his contract, which is going to make his productivity worth this amount of money.
Oscar's boy Davis Webb is still on the team, but that doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
I mean, I must say he was very good against the Lions. I gave him props there. Game 1, terrible. Game 1 was awful. It was painful to look at. And I'm like, oh boy, what the heck's going on with this guy over here? But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they're probably going to end up grabbing somebody from free agency. I don't know if they're going to try.
When has that ever worked? When has these free agent quarterbacks ever worked
Peyton
for
Manning.
lasting success in the NFL?
He won Denver a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he was going to 4 to 5 years.
He signed a 5-year deal and he was done in 4.
And does Peyton Manning come on the free agent market every that guy comes on the market every year.
By the way, Drew Brees.
That guy comes on the market every year.
Drew Brees was a free agent, by the way. Heads up.
Yeah, how long was that ago? 15 years? You think the Giants can just magically find a free agent quarterback? Tell me who that guy is right now.
No one that if Aaron Rodgers actually wanted to leave Green Bay, they could do that, but they already gave all that money to Odell, and that simply is illogical.
So a free agency route is illogical because none of the best quarterbacks right now are leaving their teams.
Well, yeah, that's pending if Aaron Rodgers doesn't leave Green Bay, which I don't think he will, personally.
Exactly.
But I agree with you on that point. I don't think there's the right free agency guy. But that's the thing. I don't know about this. Obviously, I'll be watching college football anyway. That's where you'll see me this Saturday on Long Beach Island, sitting on my porch, probably just wasting my life away the entire Saturday of college football. Opening day of college football. Obviously, there's the guys that the quarterbacks people will want to look at, and they'll find out. We'll find out in the season's end. But at the same time, you never know with that too, because there's been numerous quarterbacks who have been had a great senior year, got drafted really high, and then done poorly. Like same thing, but I don't know. But the thing is, like, I'm not upset about it right now because I'm not upset about not drafting quarterback this year because we'll see. We'll give it 5 years, even though if this podcast is running for another 5 years, I'd be ecstatic. But you think about it.
Will we ever be able to talk to about the best team in football?
We will eventually. We'll talk about some because I need some news about Nick Foles eventually because I got to do some fantasy stuff.
Not play.
He's not back till game 3 from what I read, but exactly. Darnold hasn't looked. He's looked okay at times. He looked good against the Giants for probably the first half. Josh Allen's looked miserable, but then again, you know he was a project. Who are the other guys that got drafted this year in terms of quarterback? Rosen's done okay. He hasn't done completely terrible. Mahomes is finally getting the starting time after what feels like a century and a half. He's only had one really good play, and everyone in the NFL is jumping up and down in joy because they think Andy Reid has finally got his guy to run the offense and to get him to win a Super Bowl for once in his life.
Andy Reid's had that guy since 1999.
Well, yeah, only if he ran a clock. If he ran a clock and
Donovan didn't throw up in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. I don't want to talk about that because, more importantly, the reigning champs have a problem. We got a problem, Lutz. I got a problem.
What is it? Alshon Jeffrey not playing?
I got a problem with how the Philadelphia fans are now viewing the Eagles. I've been stewing about it for a while. That's why I'm putting a little good times on hold. It is syllabus week right now to complain. This is my big point right now. It's very much contention. Philadelphia fans are getting complacent, and I don't like it. It's not in our DNA. We are not holding the Eagles to the highest standard because the coaching, the preparation for players, specifically the tie on the offensive line, and some of our defensive backs has just been pitiful in the preseason. Pitiful. We didn't score a point against the Browns. I get it. Vanilla offense. Other teams are game planning. That Williams guy from the Browns wants to blitz the shit out of every team. But when I turn on the radio in the morning or I read anything online, all that everyone says is, oh, they're missing their top 3 running backs, which they are. They're missing their Hall of Fame left tackle, which they are. They're missing their starting quarterback, which they are.
2 quarterbacks, by the way.
Exactly. Top 3 receivers. Foles is still playing. Anyway.
Oh, I thought Foles came. I didn't realize Foles came back.
He played the whole half.
I thought he got hurt. I thought he hurt his shoulder. Or was that the week before?
That was the previous game.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I don't care about those guys.
Exactly, which is why we just talked about Odell Beckham getting money because.
All right, continue, Bill.
No, anyway, to get to my point is, the fans aren't holding the team to a high enough standard. We're making the excuses that we lost 2 of our best coaches in Frank Reich and John DeFilippo, and it's clearly affecting the offense right now. Unless Doug Peterson is literally just holding everything back and he thinks he's Bill Belichick just because he won the Super Bowl. and it's pissing me off. It's really pissing me off how fans just expect the team to roll over the NFC East again, put no pressure. The media is doing the same thing. Everyone's just trusting these guys. We got Ike Reese on WIP saying, they won the Super Bowl, man. Well, guess what? I don't want to just win one Super Bowl. I want to win like 4 or 5 with the Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz thing. I don't know. My main gripe is with fans not holding the team accountable anymore because that is not something that the fan base does, on top of the team not performing well, because the last 2 preseason games have been pitiful. And Nick Foles is so up and down and up and down and up and down that we can't go more than 2 games without Carson Wentz during the season.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Well, is everyone going to be healthy for the most part by September 6th?
Alshon's going to be out. Aguilar's so the Eagles play the final preseason game this Thursday, right?
Against the Jets. Sucks.
Yes. And then but they open the season on Thursday.
Yeah,
so
Thursday the 6th.
So what they're saying is Friday, Doug Peterson's going to find out whether or not Carson's cleared to play or not. But they're not going to announce it until 90 minutes before the game.
Sounds about right.
So they're practicing in secrecy. I'm telling you, thank God you're not in Philly, because I think if I heard your voice during the next week, my head would explode. Other than in person, because I'm going to be on edge. I've been a little complacent. I'm not at fault. It's my fault too. Eagles did win the Super Bowl. I haven't been paying attention, and with the Phillies sucking, I'm coming back, but it's going to be on edge. And they honestly don't know. Doug Peterson's been really testy in his press conferences. I love how I'm just talking about the Eagles right now because neither of you are paying attention.
No, I'm paying attention to you, dude.
I am.
I know. I'm messing. I'm busting your balls. But you know what I mean. Like, it's very much a wait and see mode right now, and I don't like it. I don't like this not holding the team accountable. I don't like that. That's not Philly. I don't like it.
How about this? Whoever isn't paying attention, can you turn off the messenger thing? It's dinging the entire time. Somebody's being really popular here or whatever. Because this is absurd. But that's how I'm not paying attention to you, Bill. Your message thing's going off while you're talking about the Eagles. But I think, I don't know. Like, I'm not down there to really, and I'm not paying attention to social media, especially for the Eagles, about who's being complacent or whatnot. But the stats don't lie. Eagles have not played well at all. I get that half the team's injured. I'm not surprised if Doug Peterson's holding everything back. That wouldn't shock me at all. To be honest. If they believe that they're already showing some of it, and you know that teams, like, particularly if you look at the first 5 games, Falcons obviously good enough defense, they can game plan around it. The Buccaneers have a defense, but they're terrible. The Colts defense is atrocious. Titans are okay, they're good, and they have the Vikings in week 5. So if you consider the first 5 weeks, you play 2 top 10 defenses or top 15. Well, 2 to 3 top 15, and then the other 2 kind of suck. So, and I'm not going to toss in week 6 at the Giants at the Giants. So the Giants defense at times has been pitiful because their pass rush is horrific, and that hasn't changed at all since they moved to the 3-4. The run defense is still great, which is cool. Hopefully Landon Collins is healthy. You know what's a real sight to see, Bill? A linebacker that can cover the pass in a Giants blue uniform. You know how beautiful that is?
I know.
It's like seeing Halley's Comet.
I know I mess around a lot, mess around with the Giants being irrelevant because it's just really funny to see your guys' reactions, especially when they do play in New York. I get it. They're going to be an improved team. I'm interested to see what that defense does because if they're any bit improved, no one expected. I know I'm using the Eagles as the example, but no one expected our defense to be that improved last year. No one was predicting that out of the blue. So. Because the NFL has so much parity, the division is going to be more tight than all these analysts are saying, where the Eagles are just going to run away with it. Because they're not. Well,
if you think about it, 2 years ago, the Giants' defense was one of the best in the league. That's part of the reason why they were able to get to the playoffs. Was Snacks Harrison in the middle eating up the run, Landon Collins being a top safety, Eli Apple deciding to play football. You still have Janoris Jenkins being a top 5 corner. Like, the one problem the Giants have always had for what feels like since Justin Tuck left is, like, consistent great pass rushing. I know JPP has had years where it was ups and downs. I know the one year before he got hurt, well, not including when he blew up his hand, but they're like, it's upsetting to see him go. But for a guy that was only going to get 8 sacks a year, he shouldn't be getting paid $18 million and be the second highest paid defensive player. That's the same thing that's pissing me off about Olivier Vernon. He hasn't had a year. I'm pretty sure he hasn't had a year over 10 sacks. Not since he's been on the Giants. I'm pretty sure in his career. And they're paying him stupid amount of money. Like, thank God, like, Damon Harrison is actually playing to his money, which is cool. Because I thought that was the worst signing ever originally, and boy was I wrong. And I'll eat crow for that. But there's no.
I must say that. I mean, yeah, last year we weren't really good at all, and I think the reason why we lost so many games, and even though 2 years ago we were one of the best defenses in the league, when you constantly and consistently get 3 and outs as a defensive player, first of all, you're pissed off that you have to go back out there, and second of all, you're tired. You're out of breath. And you have to go running with all these receivers all the way down the field, and you can't even get past the 50-yard line. The offense can't even get past the 50-yard line, so you're constantly playing defense for 60 minutes of the game. You know? Yeah.
Well, it's like Denver. Actually, no, I was wrong. Olivier Vernon had 11.5 sacks his second year in the league. But, yeah, no, you're right. Well, that's like the Denver thing. Remember when it was I think it was the year after they won the Super Bowl, it was the year after they won the Super Bowl with Osweiler was there, and the defense supposedly after one game that they lost, like one of the games that they lost where the defense played stellar, but they lost like 10-3 or whatever the number was like guys, like what the hell? Like we're playing like the best defense in football, which at the time they were, or at least a top 3 defense in football, and no production out of the offense pisses people off, especially on the defensive side of the ball when they're actually performing. Last year the Giants gave up in numerous different ways, and that's why nothing made me happier than when Bobby Hart got cut as soon as Gettleman got hired because he realized he was a cancer. And they gave Eli Apple a second chance, but he's not that far off from a cancer either.
What I'm nervous about this year, though, and throughout the whole league, is the lowering the helmet flag. That's going to cost a lot of games. And I think once it's either make or break a game, and then that's going to be they're going to call that flag once every game. That's already a given. They already said that they're going to try and call it once, but it's hard. It's hard to not tackle that way. Like if you think before you tackle, that's where injuries happen because you got to think, oh, how am I going to tackle this guy instead of just doing it? You know?
Yeah, and I think they'll pull back on it. I just don't think I think the refs will be more lenient during the season because like this brand of football is just it can't be. The league can't actually want this to continue.
Yeah. That's the best way to put it. I don't know. Well, the rule's not going to be consistent throughout the regular season, right? I think they're just testing it this preseason.
No, this is the rule.
Oh.
This is the rule.
Shoot.
So it could be like this during the season. That's what the Eagles have been called for that. And I know a lot of good teams, like the Patriots were called for it a lot. A lot of really good teams will be affected by this, and it will cause the outcome of games to be changed.
Because it's the automatic first down. Just like that.
To be honest, if we're picking a team that really could have the most effect on, especially throughout the regular season, I won't say Cleveland because Cleveland really doesn't matter. But in terms of teams that'll probably contend, I'd say Minnesota because their defense is phenomenal at times, especially with the hitters like Anthony Barr and Harrison Smith and all those guys. I'm pretty sure Terrence Newman is still playing there at 52 years old, still playing corner. Better than Eli Apple, by the way.
Is a hard-hitting safety too.
What'd you say?
Rhodes? I don't know his name.
Oh no, he's the other corner on the other side.
Down the corner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got, I think it's Kendricks, too, is the other middle linebacker. Everson Griffin is a savage DN. Like, they got, I'm pretty sure Linval Joseph's still playing D tackle there, but they got guys who were willing to hit and probably one of the best, if not the best defense in football currently. And if those helmet hits happen like twice a game, 3 times a game, it kills them.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, as much as I love talking about NFL, I think we need to switch to a different topic. And to be honest, this was going to be an explain it to Bill, but I know Bill sadly has to get off in a couple minutes, so we may have to switch this to and explain it to Oscar and Bill, because we're going back into fighting again, ladies and gentlemen. And what upsets me more is that how 2 YouTubers have decided were able to not only make money, they made $11 million off of this, but were able to get 770,000 people to pay $10 for a YouTube stream of 2 extreme amateur YouTubers fighting in a boxing ring, in boxing.
Content's content, man. People want what they want.
Do you hear about this though? Like the Logan Paul and KSI thing? Like, it's crazy.
Those guys, they have so much reach in terms of the digital world that you can't be surprised when you hear stuff about this anymore. They have people who produce content online, whether or not it's controversial, like how Barstool got it started, or whether it's people streaming like NBC Sports does it, or how I know the Yes Network does it with Fox, I think, right? These like content creators who have like these strong followings, they're always going to be able to make money off dumb stuff. And it's like that rough and rowdy thing too. That stuff just plays nowadays.
Rough and rowdy is different though, personally.
Is it really though? Is it really much different than that?
It is, like, because it's just a bunch of hillbillies fighting, and then 2 of the guys in the office fighting, or one in particular, or the most recent one in particular, an office guy and a guy who ends up being a homophobic guy who constantly made fun of him on Twitter. Like, I get the idea of that, and Barstool's reach is very big, but they're also Barstool it's different but similar. I'll give you that, Bill. It's different but similar. But they're not getting...
Barstool partnered with one of the Paul brothers. I forget which one it is. It's just these smart people who are obviously putting on an act online to get these
Logan Paul did a video of like some guy committing suicide in Japan for getting views.
I know. Do you know how much exposure he got for that?
Yeah, a lot, because it was negative exposure.
I know. And hey, guess what? That plays. Trump, LeVar Ball, all that shit. That plays nowadays. This is the people to spend their money now. And when it happens, it's just something that in our society of viewing content, that's something that you have to think about, especially when everything is digital, when the other people in society don't have to know you're consuming this content because it's all online. You don't have to perch on your TV and like you used to have to do boxing and everyone knew and it was the cool thing. Like, you can do pretty much whatever you want now and follow whoever you want. That's why these people are so smart. They don't care how they reach people. All they care about is the reach, because that's what sells and that's what pays.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just find it annoying that these 2 guys were able to promote a fight better than the UFC does. UFC has done the entire year, and I know it's different. It's very different because the pay-per-views are a lot more expensive, and it's real fighting, and some people aren't okay with that. And I know Logan Paul has 18 million YouTube subscribers, and KSI, I guess, fought someone before, some other YouTuber, and probably made less money, but he's already started that trend. But I don't know. You know how upsetting it is to me as a purist of a guy, as a fighting fan, to go watch. I didn't watch it because why the hell would I do that? But of 2 guys that are able to do a better job of promoting, better than debatably the greatest fight promoter ever, probably the greatest fight promoter ever in Dana White. Like, how can 2 guys be able to promote a thing where they can get over 770,000 people to buy something, and also have probably around 3.5 million people watch it illegally on Twitch or other forms of platforms.
I'll leave you on this because I gotta run. It's the same way how people complain that like a guy like that Little Xan guy has one of the biggest Spotify followings. There are platforms which people can put out content on where purists don't like it. But guess what? The public likes it because the public gives our approval of it by subscribing or paying for something. And it's just the way consumption of content, and specifically controversial content, is going, that the purists like me, like, if this was going on in a sport that I love, like baseball, I would feel like, because I'm the ultimate purist for the baseball, I don't think anything's wrong with it. Like, I love it. I would feel the same way. But to someone who, like, I guess I kind of like the way it's going because it engages me more. I'm not a purist. I don't want to pay $90 for a pay-per-view fight and listen to two guys trash talk when it's all fake and an act, when these two people online who are clearly putting on an act for you. And then it produces good content. These people are really smart, and they know how to manipulate the public through the different channels of putting something for people to consume. And with that, my digital marketing class is really paying off, and I got to head out. Oscar, it's a pleasure talking to you. Lotzi.
Bill, it's great, man. It's great.
We'll meet again.
We'll meet again soon, Bill. I'll give you an update on that in the next week or so. Well, especially we got next week's show.
With school getting going and a little bit more consistently, we got it. Thanks everyone who listened.
Plug it.
Lutz and Oscar. Lutz, make the trip down. Oscar, I better see you tonight.
Yeah, I'll see you tonight, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, take care, Bill. See, well, that's not Bill. Of course, phenomenal send off by Bill, but Bill, you're supposed to plug the show. Say like, hey, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to SoundCloud. Oh, Oscar, did you know that we were on SoundCloud now? Did you pay?
No, I knew you were working on it, and I know you. I've only heard YouTube, but now you're on SoundCloud.
You didn't listen to last week's show when we talked about this?
I'll be honest with you, I did not listen to the last week's show.
I can't believe you.
Dude, I'm sorry, man.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, we got all the time in the world, Oscar. We're probably going at over 30 minutes currently. Do we have 30 more minutes of content? I think so. I think we do. But I need your opinion on this Logan Paul thing because Bill gave his and he left in a blaze of glory. I want to see what your opinion is on it because at this point I don't think it's an explaining to Bill. I think it was just basically just let me vent on why this is completely stupid, but I guess people are tuning to watch it. Like, I don't get what does Logan Paul do? Like, maybe you know, but like I'm thoroughly confused.
Honest, all I know, they're both YouTubers. It's a very small, like, young audience that they have. So everybody just subscribes to YouTube just to watch their like stupid videos that they post, no matter whatever they're doing. So probably once they heard this and then a couple trash talking in between, they got all hype about it. But it's just stupidity, man. Like, I wouldn't care about this thing, but they got a bunch of views. They got a bunch of views just watching a fight. So I'm with your end, but I totally understand where Bill's coming from about, wow, they just made that much money because they knew their audience would want to watch it. So, and they did anything they can with all the subscribers to make this fight happen. They made it happen. Supposedly it was a good fight. And yeah, and now we're talking about it. So like, honestly, like, it's done. Like, I think it's done.
I saw it online today at work, and I'm like, wait, this happened? And then I looked it up. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, all right, I need to change subjects here. Let's go to something that makes me happy. Oh yeah, we mentioned it earlier. College football opening this weekend. Please listen to last week's episode where we talked about with our round table, even though it was 4 people and we weren't really at a round table of college football. Well, 2 experts, a guy who plays college football currently, and then Bill talk about their opinions on conference by conference, season by season, not season by season, conference by conference, Heisman predictions, all of that stuff. Tune into last week's episode to talk about that. But obviously, listen to this episode currently because I want to talk about a couple games that are happening this weekend. Oscar, what games of this Saturday including actually Sunday and Monday, because it's stretching out the whole week, what games are you into this week? What are your games to watch? And I want to hear some predictions. I don't want we can go in what your opinion is of like the playoff and stuff like that, but we didn't really do that. I kind of want to see your prediction for these next couple games or these big games coming up this week. Side note, Yanks are only down 4-2.
4-2, and you are at homer.
Mid-8th. What's your take, Oscar?
All right, so I don't want to be biased, but I do have a brother out in San Diego State, Stanford, so will be tuning into that game. It looks like it's at Stanford, and Stanford's going to win. I also have Bryce Love as a Heisman contender. I actually played Little League with their receiver, Donald Stewart. Played Little League with him. However,
yeah, I'm pretty sure I played against him in high school. Didn't he go to Paramus Catholic? Didn't he go to Paramus Catholic?
Yep.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I went against. I didn't actually play against him, but I know people that did. Like we played on opposite teams. I didn't start. I wasn't that great, but to be honest, I wasn't really that good to begin with.
Yeah, and like he said that he's so pissed because. So I'm sorry, I'm going off subject, but he's upset because they don't pass the ball. They just run the ball, and it sucks that this guy stayed for him because I want him to do well. He's their number one receiver, but they don't throw the ball. They just run the ball all game. So anyway, Stanford's going to win that game. I'm going to be tuning into that game. Ohio State will be a fun one to watch. I'm a big Ciano guy from the old Rutgers stomping grounds. Yeah. So
well, he's not the interim head coach right now, is he? I think it's the OC, right?
Yeah, but he'll be coaching. He's the head coach for that game.
I didn't realize Shiano's going to be the head coach for that particular game.
Yep.
Well, that's just music to my ears. He's just waiting to get back into a head coaching gig somewhere. Who knows?
Oh yeah, hopefully, man, hopefully. Maybe the Washington-Auburn's going to be a great game. A little Chick-fil-A kickoff. And Notre Dame, Michigan. Oh, my gosh. Great game coming up. And then good old Alabama's going to kill Louisville, I think. But Miami, LSU, I think it's going to be a great game. I'm really excited for that. Sunday, 7:30.
Give me some winners. Give me some winners here. And give a little detail, too. Because I'll give obviously people who know me and watch it and listen to this show and know me in person will obviously wonder what my opinion is about Notre Dame, Michigan, but we'll get to that in a minute. I want to hear a couple of your picks before I start going off about whatever.
Oh, for the games I just said, or
yeah, games you just said. We're not going down the line here. There's like, well, you're going to tell me you're going to give me a prediction for Delaware State versus Buffalo.
Well, no, like I'm sorry, the top 25. I'm here on ESPN looking at the games. I'm just going to yell, but anyways. Stanford's going to win the game. It's going to beat San Diego State. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Oklahoma's going to beat FAU. That'll be fun. That'll be a good game.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game.
I don't know. I don't know about FAU in terms of returning, but I think Lane Kiffin has done a good job there so far. He always does well under a worse conference. Anything that's lower than the Pac-12, he's better.
Ohio State will definitely win. Out of all the drama that's been going on, they're still a good football team. Did you hear? UCF is going to beat UConn, but did you hear like what they were saying, man? They're all upset. They said that they considered their last year being the best team in football. They should be number one in rankings, and they felt extremely offended for being 21st because they went undefeated and they beat Auburn in the bowl last year. But they're in American Conference, man. I mean, 21st is a little rough, but top 15 would have been okay.
Oh,
but
hey, American Conference is. I love that conference, man. You're talking to a big American Conference guy. I enjoy it. I watch almost every conference for the most. Well, the Power 5 American Conference, the MAC, and at a time the Mountain West when Boise State and TCU were on there. But yeah. I agree. I think Well, they also lost Scott Frost. They lost. I think they lost their best quarterback too. I don't know if they got their quarterback returning for UCF. I'm pretty sure they do, but they also lost that the one-armed kid from who was a linebacker.
Yeah,
Like,
Shaq Griffin.
Shaq Griffin was phenomenal. I think
Brother in Seattle now.
if Scott Frost was still the head coach there and not the head coach in Nebraska, I think that ranking's a little higher. But
yeah,
I get it. Well, it's just like Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame is always like there's a YouTube video out there where remember the old Bud Light guy, the Real Man of Genius commercials.
Yep.
You could find one of my friend showed this to me like when I was a freshman in high school, and it's so accurate to this day. Where it's like making fun of Notre Dame how they're always preseason ranked really high. They'll do well for a little bit in the bad games. They'll lose the big game, and then they just don't care at the end of the season. And I won't be surprised if that's the case again this year. But I will say this: I think Harbaugh always has a problem. Harbaugh may be the better coach, but if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he's won. He was I'm pretty sure he was the coach when when Michigan played Notre Dame the last time, if I'm not mistaken, which was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And Michigan has not done great against Notre Dame. I don't know how Shea Patterson's going to do as a starting QB, as the Ole Miss transfer. Wimbush is getting the starting gig, I'm pretty sure, for Notre Dame, Jersey's finest.
Yeah.
I want him to do well. There was no reason why he should have been benched. I think in the bowl game, I think that was stupid. I think Brian Kelly is a complete Irish drunk, like whatever. I could name horrible things about him personally. I despise him at times because he's a guy who is one of the winningest coaches in football currently, and they cannot win a title. And it's always an issue with the quarterback being benched. There's something going wrong. He gets too angry and tries to call the offense, and the offense sucks when he's calling plays because every time he calls plays, they're miserable and awful. I'm trying to look online right now. The spread right now is I think is 1 under from what I'm reading, and I'm pretty sure I just saw the Yanks just hit a home run to tie it 4-4. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh.
But spread's only 1 right now. I think that's a lot. I think Notre Dame wins by a touchdown. That's my view. I know people that say Notre Dame wins by 2 touchdowns. I think Michigan's defense is still good. Michigan can easily win this game, but I don't think Michigan's that great. And Notre Dame's not that great either, but Notre Dame's offense is going to be Wimbush, hurling the ball like it was last year. They'll have good enough receivers that fit the offense. The real question is is their defense going to perform? Not in particularly this game because I think Michigan's offense is too weak for. They don't match up, especially with Notre Dame's spread style offense. But I'm not going to give a final score, but I'll say Notre Dame wins by a touchdown. If they don't win, I won't be surprised, and Notre Dame's season will basically be over by that point. There's no way that they will come back unless Michigan loses like 3 games in a row. Simple as that. Because in typical Notre Dame fashion, they'll be winning for, if I can pull up their schedule real quick, you give me some time. And I probably said this on the last show too, but frankly, I kind of don't care. Let's pull this up. They got Michigan to start off. They'll beat Ball State. They'll beat Vanderbilt. They'll beat Wake Forest. Stanford at home. Wouldn't be surprised if they lost. Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech is probably going to be their loss. That probably could be game day, pending especially if Virginia Tech beats Florida State, which, spoiler alert, I think they do.
Yep.
Pitt, one of those teams they could probably they have a tendency to lose to at weird times. Same with Navy. Navy's no slouch. Northwestern kind of sucks. Florida State's good, but we'll see how they are. That could also be game day. Syracuse, I'll probably go to that game because of the Shamrock Series game at Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
The the uniforms for that are weird, by the way. I don't necessarily like them, but that's just a story for a different time. And USC at the end of the year, as always. So if I had to guess, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 3, 10, 4, 10, 10 I don't think they go 10 and 2 or whatever, like 8 and 4 probably. It wouldn't shock me if they lose every single game to the ranked opponents, the currently ranked opponents, or they beat a couple of them and then they lose that Navy game or they lose the Pitt game. I highly doubt they'll lose to Syracuse.
Yeah,
I doubt that. Last time they played Syracuse, they got they mollywopped them, and I was there for that. It was like 60-20 at the end of the game. The fact that we didn't leave was because there was we were in a box. We borrowed my friend's box from my dad's friend's box at Giant Stadium, and there was food there, so we just ate it.
Oh, that's incredible.
Oh, I know. It was lucky me. This time we'll go sit in Yankee Stadium and probably watch Notre Dame after they already lost 3 times, win by 40. Nobody's gonna care. Nobody will be at that game unless it's the New York fans and Notre Dame has a shot to go to the playoff, which if they lose a game by this point, they probably won't. Their schedule's not super strong. It's strong enough, pending, obviously, some of these other unranked teams, like particularly Wake Forest, Navy, and Pitt. I don't think Vanderbilt's going to be that good. Ball State's awful. Same with Northwestern. And Syracuse will probably be 500. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
Auburn.
I'm really excited for the good old Miami Hurricanes. They're breaking out the turnover chain. They're bringing it back.
They suck.
And I'm looking at their schedule here. I'm thinking
they're overrated. They'll lose to Pitt again.
Yeah, and I was so upset last year. Don't even get me started about that game. But I want them to be like the old U again, but I don't think it'll happen now.
Well, they're still like the old U. They pay off their players and give them a bunch of stuff.
I'm talking about the U, man.
That's very much the U. You watch those documentaries.
Yeah,
There's no doubt
I have.
There's no doubt in my mind that Jimmy Johnson just simply allowed those guys to be like the thugs that they were, or some of them thugs, and basically just take all the money in the world from the boosters and whatnot. Like Michael Irvin was definitely just rolling around in cash, but never bought his parents a house like Reggie Bush.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule, man, and I mean, this game this weekend is going to be rough, man. I think LSU is going to put up a good fight. Hopefully, Miami wins, and then after that, I'm thinking 2 losses. I'm sorry.
You think you think they'll go 10-2? I don't think there's no shot they win the ACC. Clemson wins that by a barnyard. Clemson wins that by a long shot unless Florida State's really healthy with Francois coming back and their defense plays up to the hype, and Virginia Tech somehow comes out of nowhere. They still got Josh Jackson coming back. Their defense is still phenomenal with the D coordinator who's been there for 30 years. He's still really good, and Fuente's done a phenomenal job there so far since Frank Beamer retired. So, I don't know. I like that. My game of the night is, and I'm not saying that because they're the highest ranked teams matched up against each other. It's just a fact. Washington, Auburn. I think Auburn's going to be ready to go, especially after that loss against UCF. I think that kind of put them in a bad light. I think that Alabama game was one of the best things I ever watched. I loved it, personally. I was so ready for them to win the SEC and try to go win the title. But didn't happen. It's okay. What are you going to do? I think their quarterback coming back this year is phenomenal. Defense will probably be good. And Gus Malzahn always has something coming up with running backs or whatever, especially with that offense. I think Washington's great. I don't think the Pac-12 is not going to get a spot this year in the playoff. I don't think so. Washington will probably win the Pac-12, but I got Auburn. I don't know what the final score will be, or I think they'll win. I think it'll be closer than people will suspect, but I'll give Auburn by 7. Auburn wins by 7. I'll look at the spread right now while you give your quick opinion on it.
I don't know. I think Auburn's gonna win. I think so too. I mean, I think they're the better team, and I'm gonna say by a field goal. I'm gonna say it's gonna be close. Maybe field goal. Maybe 6 by 6, 3 or 6. I don't think they're gonna win by a touchdown, in my opinion. I don't know what the spread is either.
1.5.
But
1.5 in Auburn's favor.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think they win by a field goal.
Over/under is 48. By the way, it's not a lot.
Nah, so
it's a good amount. You think what? 28, 24?
Yeah.
Like that.
42.
Well, no.
28.
No, 28, 24 is 52. Do you really not know how to add?
Not that fast, dude.
Jeez. Okay. Well, I think on that note, it's 10 o'clock. We are running in about 51 minutes. I think it's time for a little quick hits. I wish we had a little segment for it. By the way, do you appreciate the theme song, the opening song? I thought it was fitting.
Sure. Hell yeah. I'm loving it, and I think that was the. Maybe he was dancing to it was all about the Benjamins, but I think it was that song he was dancing to in the locker room with Shep.
No, that's the Shane McMahon theme song. That's
I know that's the Shane McMahon theme song, but I think he was dancing with that in the locker room.
I have no clue, but
yeah,
supposedly the Sox are losing too to the Marlins, which is unbelievable.
Nice.
All right. Shoot. Houston.
Quick question though, before we continue. I'm sorry about this.
Sure.
What are your thoughts of the preseason and how college doesn't have a preseason? You think the NFL should just stick to their regular season or 2 games or not have a preseason?
I think 4 is the right number. I think you just got to be smart with playing the starters. Like, some injuries just happen because they happen. Sometimes you can't control that.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to take control over everything, and you know what? Sometimes you just can't. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have control of everything. And 4 is the right number. If they want to bring it down to 2, go ahead. You shouldn't extend the regular season more than it needs to be. If you want to extend anything, give like an extra game to the preseason, but make that 5th game where like all the backups start and the starters are just sitting there eating popcorn and like the good old days, just lighting a cigarette on the sideline or whatever. Like, just don't let them do anything. Right now, Game 3 is always the biggest game of the year. What seems like the biggest game of the preseason when all the starters are playing for the first half and everyone's petrified that something's going to happen. Like, the perfect example was Giants-Jets. Olivier Vernon basically had the sack, but he like 2-hand touched him. Yep. Like, hit the guy. You pick him up and like just bring him to the ground. Don't let him run out of bounds. Give yourself the stat. Like, they weren't considering it a sack because you 2-hand touched him like it was freaking 8th grade touch football on the high school football field.
Hopefully he'll be back for Game 1 though. His X-rays came back negative, but he hurt his ankle.
Who, Vernon?
Practice. Yep.
Cool. I don't care. Like, he's our best pass rusher who gets under 10 sacks a game, 10 sacks a year.
I'm telling you, man, we're gonna make the wild card.
Oh, I don't know. I said 7. I think they go 7-9.
I say 8.
If they go, there's
possibly 9.
There is 0 chance they make the wild card because you already have 1 spot guaranteed for Atlanta or St. Louis, and you probably have 1 spot for the Packers if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy and Minnesota wins out.
Yes. All right. So yeah, it could. Yeah. I don't know. I think
you would say right now the Saints are one of the best teams in football with just that one safety making the stupid play on Minnesota. Minnesota's not in the title, not in the championship game. Like New Orleans had their number, and I don't know if that's a matchup this season. I hope it is because that should be a Sunday night football game or a Monday night game where everyone's tuning in. So that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, but dude, now that freaking Bill's not here to comment on this, but I don't think they're gonna win the division. It's very very hard in the NFC East to win back-to-back division.
The Cowboys aren't winning it.
What happened?
The Cowboys and the Redskins aren't winning it, and the Giants sure as hell aren't. So by default, the Eagles will probably win.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Who is Dak Prescott going to throw the ball to? Tavon Austin.
I'm thinking the Cowboys are going to come last in the division. Redskins second to last. Eagles, Giants.
Dude, come on. Like I'm an absurd Giants fan, but that's just a lot.
Dude, I'm telling you, we have the toughest division. Most competitive, I should say.
Yeah, I agree, and they'll beat up on each other, and the Eagles will probably go 10-6. They're not going to win 13 games or 12 games like they did last year.
We'll see. We'll see if Wentz comes back, if they're defense. I think they're going to lose first game to the Falcons. They're going to lose.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, but that's not going to shock the world if they lose to the Falcons. The Falcons are a great team.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Giants will go 7-9. I'm not overhyping them because I almost did that last year. I was one of the few people that said they're not going to win the Super Bowl. They still have a lot to do with their offensive line, and that's the key. And lo and behold, I was right. So, like, they were miserable the other game. Miserable. It's not even funny how awful they were last year, especially on the front lines on both sides, except for Damon Harrison. But enough about Giants talk. I think everyone's already kind of tired of it at this point. We got to go to some quick hits. Now, you've been here before for quick hits, right, Oscar?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let's take a look. Dez Bryant saying he will likely wait a bit later to sign. Who do you think he should sign to? What team do you think he should go to? And should he sign now? Or wait?
I would say, not now. Very soon, before the season starts, Jacksonville Jaguars. Marquise Lee's out. I think the Jaguars will be a good fit for him. Yeah, Bortles is not the best, but I think he'll be close to being their number one guy, and for a good defense, it's going to really help him out, the Jaguars.
Oh, I don't know about the Jags though. That's the thing. Like, and I'm not the one that always pops up to me right now. I don't say the Patriots, and I don't want to copy. I don't. By the way, Red Sox tied it up 6-all. I don't want to copy people saying like the Packers. Personally, I can see him, like, if you think of a guy who's not that fast anymore, but he's still probably going on a 50-50 ball club, and he wants to go to a team that has a good chance of winning, maybe you bring him to, like, I don't know, like, you can't bring him to New Orleans. Maybe, and he already turned down the offer from Baltimore. I think Baltimore would have been a decent spot for him.
Yeah. I know, that was the dumbest thing he could have done.
I get why he did that, but if I had to just think of what the right idea is, it's probably the Packers. But I'll say either Baltimore or I don't know, Cincinnati. Let him go to Cincinnati and let him waste the rest of his career away. Who really cares?
I think it's Jaguars all the way. I think it's not what Dez wants himself, it's what the team needs. I think Dez will be the perfect guy to come in after the injury of Marquise Lee.
All right. Staying with Cowboy news, Jerry Jones is saying 18-game regular season, 2 preseason games would be safer. What do you think, Oscar? I disagree. I think this format's the right move, and it's going off what I said earlier. You can't control injuries unless somebody's deliberately taking a helmet to someone's knee, which doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. I totally agree. At first, I agree with Jerry Jones. 2 would have been okay, but it's not really football. You know what I mean? Like we dealt with 4 all the time, and you're absolutely right. You can't predict injuries happening. However, a lot of injuries have happened, a lot more, but you never know. That's the thing. You never know if it will happen during preseason. Like, you got to get them prepared no matter what. Like, you know? So, I agree. I disagree with Jerry Jones. 4 should be it, just like how it's always been. 4 games.
Well, yeah, and especially if it goes down to 2 games, I'm only going to care about, I'm going to probably just only care. I'll be what I usually do. I'll only care about the Giants-Jets preseason game, and that's about it.
Yep.
So that really won't change. All right. Knicks fan selling off his allegiance. That was a big thing. He sold it. He was trying to sell it on eBay for I want to say $1,800. I don't remember. And says he's going to root for the Lakers. Knicks responded supposedly saying we don't care if you're just being a fake fan, whatever, trying to sell your fandom like a loser in a nutshell. What's your opinion? To be honest, do you think this Knicks fan is absurd for selling his fandom, or do you think it's understandable because the Knicks have been miserable since 2001?
So
up and down. I would say good at times, but not at the caliber they should be since 2001.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I wouldn't sell anything. I would always root for my team from day one. However, if your team hasn't, I'm a New Jersey Net, Brooklyn Net fan now. I was a huge New Jersey Net, Brooklyn Nets, and I'll own anything Brooklyn and all that stuff. But he probably wants to be supporting a winning team now. Now that LeBron's there, all the hype's going there. They're not gonna win They're not gonna win this year. I don't understand. Maybe Kristaps, we don't know if his injury is as bad as it is. Is he gonna be turned late this year coming up? But what's gonna end up happening with that? But I don't know. I think it's dumb. I wouldn't agree with him selling all the fandom that you've rooted for your whole life to support a Lakers team. Yeah, I get it's opposite conference, but still, it's not your team that you always rooted for, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. More quick hits. News. I don't know. I don't see anything. Is there anything you want to talk about really quick, Oscar? Because I know you mentioned it before. Is there anything, mentioned some stuff before. Is there anything you want to talk about before we end this beautiful, beautiful podcast?
Yes, let's talk about baseball real quick.
That's fine. Yanks are tied 4-4.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the wild card race. If we don't end up catching Boston, what's going to happen, man? A's are playing really well. If the A's win that division, we're going to verse Verlander first game, even though we have the second best record in baseball. Unfortunately, we're going to have to face that one game series. So that's gonna be a tough one if the A's pull it out and we're having to face Verlander.
I don't think the A's pull it out. I think, speaking of A's, by the way, they just gave up a 2-run lead to the Astros. It's tied 3-3 going into the 6th. But my view, actually probably earlier than that. Where are you? Top of the 6th. I was right. I don't know. I think the Yanks. Everyone's got to get healthy. Yankees need to get healthy first. I think it's good that Hicks is still hitting home runs and whatever.
Neil Walker, walk-off homer.
Good for him. But, Servino needs to get back to... You need to see him pitching like the Cy Young guy is consistently. I'm not going to say... Consistently, he needs to get back to doing that. Obviously, Judge needs to... Is Judge already back yet or not yet?
No, Judge is not back. They don't know his timetable. I'm thinking for playoffs. It's just tough, man. That's another thing. I hate those injuries because it's a 95-mile-per-hour fastball right to the hand, right to the wrist, man.
But I love
you got to swing a bat. It's gonna be rough, man.
That was abysmal timetable, by the way. You know that? He said 3 weeks. It's been 2 months.
Yeah. Yep.
Who told him that? What stupid doctor decided, oh, yeah, this is 3 weeks away? Come on now. It would be obvious if it takes longer than 3 weeks to repair a broken wrist or whatever his problem is with his hand. But, you could deal with the A's. If you're the Yankees, the one team you don't want to face is the Astros in the wild card game. Because realistically, you'll probably end up playing them in the divisional series. I don't know what I think that's the case because it'll be wild card in second and first and third, or is it the Yanks will play the Sox in the playoffs if it ends today? Yankees beat the Astros. Yeah, Yankees beat the A's. the 4 teams, who would end up playing each other?
I think it's going to be the Astros because it's either the Astros or the Indians, but I think Boston will play Indians.
Okay.
I think we flip-flopped like last year.
All right, fine. I wasn't entirely sure, but to be honest, I wasn't sure at all. I wouldn't say entirely. Okay. I would not want to face Verlander for one game. That's my view.
Me neither.
I could not name you a starter on Oakland that I would be scared to face. Their hitting's good, I agree. Like Chris Davis is 39 home runs and 130 RBIs, but that's all he does. He's hitting 254. It's like Stanton for the most part. But who's their top pitcher this year? It's not Sean Manaea.
Manaea, and he just got rotator cuff stiffness. Like he felt something in his rotator cuff, so he may be out, which is pretty good. Just kind of huge.
Well, they still have Fernando. They traded for Fernando Rodney this year. I think as a closer, or at least a setup guy, which is huge. I know he's only played a couple games this year. I don't necessarily remember that whole ordeal, but yeah, this guy seems like he's the only consistent starter, and he just got hurt. And by the way, he has a 3.59 ERA. Like it's not blowing me away. The guy only has 12 wins on the year.
Yep. I just want Didi to come back, Sanchez to come back the way he used to last year, and Judge come for playoff time. I think we can be very dangerous. We have the bullpen.
Robertson's got to pick it back up a little bit, though, but that's my opinion. That's something separate. They still have plenty of guys to deal with it. Like, they have... I talked about it a couple shows ago with Bill. They have three former Yankee closers, current and former, and another closer in Britain where they could literally pitch 6 innings or pitch 5 innings, and they could rotate 3 or 4 of the guys at all different spots, and it doesn't matter. Like you can, if you really wanted to, you can put Betances is pitching the 6th, Britton at 7th, Robertson at 8th, Chapman at 9th, and you could rotate that around whenever you desire. You would do that to like the batting order, like depending on the batting order, whatever. I know obviously they're paying Chapman to be the closer, but Betances can be the setup guy. Robertson can pitch 2 innings. Britton is also a closer as well. Like they technically have the best bullpen on paper, the best bullpen in baseball. Strictly because of the fact that they have 4 closers, and at the time when they had Adam Warren, where they could have a guy basically pitch relieve for 5 innings if some guy goes out in inning number 3.
Yeah, I mean, Britton really hasn't been performing the greatest. He can't find the strike zone. Chad Green has been okay. Aaron Boone loves Jonathan Holder. He's been producing a lot. Betances has been on. I don't know, man. We need to hit the ball as well, man. I think Luke Voigt, he's been hitting the ball. Greg Bird needs to sit. I'm sorry. He has to sit.
Oh, no, he's done. He's 199. Like, I get he's a good guy or whatever, but, like, just stop it. Sit him.
You have to.
Oh, but how Sonny Gray has been doing okay in the bullpen, too, supposedly. He hasn't been terrible.
No, he hasn't been terrible. He just started against the Orioles because his numbers were great against the Orioles at Camden Yards. And I think he pitched 6 shutout innings.
Really? Are you sure they were shutouts?
I think so. Let me find out for you.
I can't believe that. I think you're lying to me. By the way, so far this Lance Lynn thing has been. It seems like it's been pulling off well.
Yeah, and J-Happ.
Well, yeah, J-Happ, you knew he was going to do well. The question was Lance Lynn, especially for trading Tyler Austin away. You're really hoping that Lynn was going to hit the turnaround point and kind of pitch back like he was in, I want to say 2012 when he was on the Cardinals for the couple years that he was there. Let me pull that up real quick while we're kind of still talking here about him. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure.
6.5.
Yeah.
Zero earned runs, 7 strikeouts. Saturday the 25th. Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
6 in the third.
By the way, I was thinking of the 2014 season for Lance Lynn. My apologies. That was his best. That was his best year, pitching 15-10 with an ERA of 2.74. Right now, he's on the Yankees. He's started 4 games, 1-1 with a 3.81. You know what, man? That ain't shabby for your number 5 to number 6 starter. It's not. It's like he's like the Freddie Garcia of old. I miss him.
I thought, dude, I saw 86% of his pitches are fastballs. Whether or 92% are fastballs. Whether it's 4-seam, 2-seam, sinkers. The guy doesn't throw a curve. Like, he barely throws a curveball, and he's dominating like his outings. So I like the pickup.
Yeah, no, I hate whatever works for him, man. That's just his thing. Well, this has been a phenomenally long episode, and I think we got to end it here. I got to get up and go to work tomorrow morning, like all that other fun stuff that's been going on. Again, Oscar, I appreciate you coming on. For those who will eventually listen, this will hopefully be out on SoundCloud tomorrow night. This will be out on SoundCloud and YouTube probably tomorrow morning or Wednesday morning, because this is being recorded on a Tuesday night. I will try and edit this tonight. Excuse me, and hopefully that gets over well. And I will try to post it Tuesday night, if not Wednesday night. Again, follow us on SoundCloud at Rambling Sports. It is the logo with the headphones, the same old, not really famous but kind of famous logo where it's the aqua blue headphones. Rambling Sports with Left and South Philly Bill inside the headphones. Click that. Subscribe to us. Play it. I don't know how many plays we got for last week's show. I know YouTube was probably around 30, like the usual number. I'm actually going to try and pull up real quick what plays we got. We only got 7. Oh, shoot. Well, hopefully, if you guys want to keep on playing that would be ideal. To try to get the more views up as much as we can, because we need views. We are still on the road to iOS podcasting. Eventually, we'll get that done. Preferably after Labor Day is when I'm gonna try and do that so I can get it up for after the post Labor Day show. If everything turns out well with that would be ideal. If not, still keep on going. But the best way to help us out is obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to us on Twitter at Rambling Sport, and subscribe to SoundCloud. Those are those 2 ways are the best way to listen. Twitter for all your updates. Not that great tweets, even though it's just me posting out the shows. Appreciate it, Oscar. Thank you again for going on.
Thanks for having me, Lutz. Thanks for having me.
You know, your seat is always welcome, and it's going to be weird not being at that SJU studio anymore. We may do a couple shows in there, but something will be different in the sense that I will not be there running the board. My guess is Bill will have to do it, which will be a freaking nightmare. So it probably is easier for us to kind of do it the same way, even though the audio's not that great, but we're still working on it. Again, thank you, Oscar. Bill, when you eventually listen to this, hopefully you do, I thank you. We are out.